face-to-face, let me know. Or you can also email jason@xtolmag.com. And I'll run a reminder, too, here through December 15th, NWSB, any branch location, is collecting for REACH food program for kids, any canned food, non-perishable items, snacks, and dry cereals. That is NWSB. So spotty light rain after the steady rain this morning. Windy and colder tomorrow. We're talking 20 to 30 mile per hour wind gusts for our Wednesday with dropping temperatures. It'll feel like the 30s tomorrow. Cold Thanksgiving and Black Friday. And then maybe a little wintry mix, especially Saturday. Or again, we'll talk more about that here coming up. Here's your stupid Thanksgiving weather jokes today. So what's the key to a good Thanksgiving dinner? The turkey. That's a good kindergarten joke right there. Why are turkeys only in R-rated movies? Because they use foul language. How did the turkey get home from Thanksgiving? Took the gravy train. I feel like there's another joke in there with that gravy train, but I couldn't think of it. There you go. There's stupid weather jokes. How many days until our countdown continues? Of course, Thanksgiving just 2 days away. Earliest sunsets in a week from now. That's 5:22 p.m. Christmas in just a month, 30 days, because it is the 25th today. Spring begins in 116 days. And we've got Perry Porter popping in the comments here before we get to the weather history with good morning with the McDonald's with the coffee. We'll do a cheers with the big happy cup here. The second big cup of the day. Chris Marlin with the chuckles there. Thanks for watching, buddy. Appreciate you. One of the best guitarists in the land. And Beverly Haggis, love the jokes. Thank you very much, Beverly. Let's bring up the weather history for today. 1926, a large tornado outbreak struck from Missouri to Alabama, including a couple of EF4s in Heber Springs, Arkansas. 145 homes were damaged or destroyed, 17 people killed. 1950, Michigan beat Ohio State 9-3 in the Snow Bowl in Columbus, Ohio. The morning temperature was 5 degrees with 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Driving snow shrouded the players on the field. There were 45 punts during the game, and Michigan won without ever achieving a first down. That is incredible. The intense storm swept from the Great Lakes to the Appalachians. Well, I've never even heard of a game like that. Winning a game without getting a first down. 1950, Louisville sets same year, same system. Louisville sets a record low of -1. In 1993, Thanksgiving Day game between Dallas Cowboys and the Miami Dolphins was memorable because of the heavy sleet that covered the field at Texas Stadium during the game. Miami won the game with a score of 16-14. 2003, a deadly accident happened on a lake. I don't know how to say that one. In the Congo, when a ferry broke apart during a terrible storm, killing 163 of the nearly 400 on board. And we've got Janet Berry. My husband had a cup like that, but I got rid of it. How could you get rid of the Big Happy? But I understand. All right. Lillian Lasley, thanks for the support with the jokes. All right, your forecast today for your Tuesday, November the 25th, 62 degrees. So it should be a little bit milder this afternoon than what we've had. This will be our warmest day of the extended forecast. So even though it's rainy and it's cloudy, I guess appreciate the slight warm up today. Sunset at 5:24, and this will taper off to just some spotty sprinkles later this afternoon. Tonight might be a sprinkle left over, low of 42 degrees. The winds will start to pick up tonight, and it's going to be a breezy one for tomorrow. So some wicked wind chills Wednesday, 20 to 30 mile per hour wind gusts. There might be a few parts of southern Indiana that sneak in a couple flurries at some point, but I think it'll be mostly dry and just very cold tomorrow. So upper 30s, low 40s, and some of the models are even colder than that. So it's just going to be a cold day, a raw day out there. Average high is 53, so we're going to be running about 10 degrees below normal. It'll probably feel about 20 degrees below normal with those winds out there tomorrow. It'll stay a bit breezy for Thursday. So 30s will probably feel like the 20s for Thanksgiving. Wednesday night, by the way, we're down to 29. 39 for Thanksgiving, down to 24 for Thanksgiving night. I'm going to fire up the wood stove once again with that kind of weather. Then 38 for Black Friday after starting off in the upper teens and 20s in the early morning. I don't know if anybody still goes out on those early mornings shopping, but it's going to be frigid out there. And then Saturday, I've got a little bit of a wintry mix potential. A system moves in with the cold air Saturday morning. There might be some wet snowflakes, perhaps, depending on the eventual track of that system. If the system tracks a little farther south, a little better chance of that snow Saturday. If it tracks a little farther north, kind of like the European weather model and the Canadian weather model, then a little better chance of just rain. Either way, it looked like if we get some wet snowflakes Saturday, not a major impact here for us. It would switch over to just a rain event later in the day Saturday, and then into Sunday. Looks pretty wet. Models are kind of all over the place early next week. I'll just say it still looks pretty unsettled next week as we're kind of in between really cold air north, milder air to the south, and we're just kind of in a storm highway over the Ohio Valley. So stay tuned for next week's forecast. Into December we go next week with, again, some more active weather here for us. So there you go. Busy 7-day forecast, and it is now 10:17. So that means we're pretty much right on time. We're about to fire up the weather model data here on this biggest travel day, they say, of the year, and bring up the flight aware misery map, they call it here. So Atlanta is the most miserable. Next in line is Houston with some delays, about 46 delays there. And then you got Chicago O'Hare, 39 delays. Dallas Fort Worth has 33 delays, and then doesn't get as bad for the other big hubs across the United States. But again, this morning we are tracking the rainfall. It is pretty steady across the area. Nothing too crazy, no lightning, no thunder. But there you can see east of I-65, the steadiest rain right now. West of I-65, as you look towards Bedford and Paoli, we're looking at the steady rain breaking apart to just some spotty areas of light rain. And kind of the same deal as we look here through Metro Louisville. Pretty steady rain around the area. This is a 1.5-hour loop. So looking at the rain here with the little animation. And then this batch of rain cruising over Interstate 65 and looking a little bit better out to the west, out towards Lilly and Lasley's neighborhood here in Litchfield and Grayson County. Starting to see some improvements there. As we expand way out, we're left with a lot of clouds today and some occasional sprinkles underneath these clouds out to the west. So stay gloomy all day today. We're hoping to see at least some sunshine tomorrow, but again, it's going to be cold. Let me see if I can bring up the temp map and see the source of the changing conditions that we'll have here over the next 24 hours. So let me fire up the current temps. Might take just a second to load. Got a couple cold fronts that'll be moving through. One little break here. Orleans saying, hope you can find some warmer weather in the extended forecast. We're running out of time here as we head into December for that warmer weather. So here are the current temperatures. And again, a couple fronts. One of the fronts drops us into the 40s tonight. And then the stronger front may drop us into the 30s by late tomorrow afternoon. And look at the source of that cold air. They're down to the teens in Wyoming and in Montana and Idaho. So there's a big chill out to the west dropping in from Canada. So we are going to see this front move through early tomorrow morning, and the winds are going to be whipping up with the dropping temperatures. Just not a good combination for our Wednesday. A lot of cold stuff on the horizon here for us. And let me bring up a little bit something else here. These are the model temperatures showing, again, the cold air just getting colder and colder and more severe. Crazy there in Greenland. So eventually you start to get that jet stream to take a little bit of a dip, and you're going to get colder and colder. So let me bring on the future radar map here, and let me bring up the GFS for the short term and look at the 500 millibar winds. These are the winds up at around 18,000 feet that kind of guide the storm systems. And what we have here is a dip in the jet stream here. So that's bringing that cold air that we just saw to the upper plains and the northern Rockies. We've got a split stream, subtropical jet stream down here, and then the polar jet up this way. Oops, get rid of that. All right, back to the future cast. Let's go to the HRR weather model, the HRRR. I'm going to fire up the reflectivity, which is the rainfall, and we're going to zoom back in and time out the rain here for today. So it's picking up, I would say, pretty well on what's actually happening. There you can see the steady rain starting to move off to the east, little bits and pieces out to the west. This is at 11 a.m. I'm going to bump this ahead to around 2 o'clock. If you look closely, you just see some light green. That's kind of the sprinkly stuff that we'll have for this afternoon left over. Going here to around 5 p.m., still maybe a little bit of mist, a little bit of drizzle. And now here is around 8 to 9 o'clock, still through later on tonight, maybe using the windshield wipers a little bit, just kind of that nuisance drizzle drop every now and again. And now I'm going to the overnight period. This is 2 a.m., still a chance for some sprinkles. The secondary front will move through early tomorrow morning. There it is, by the way. Let me bring this up full screen. So if you were out early tomorrow, you might get a sprinkle around sunrise or maybe a little bit before sunrise. Look at this sharp little line of some sprinkles right here. So that is the leading edge of the stronger front that's going to be moving through. This is at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning, by the way. So that is that secondary front, and it's going to have that chill coming our way. And you'll notice a temperature contrast here as we look at this. So see these 30s out behind that front? That is on the way tomorrow afternoon. Let's go ahead and bump this to 3 p.m. for your 26th. That is some rough stuff here tomorrow afternoon right there. So it shows the warmest temperatures early tomorrow morning. The front moves through, and then crashing temperatures for our day tomorrow. So don't be shocked by it. If you step outside and that wind is hitting you in the face, and with those cold temperatures, you heard it here. It's going to be a cold one tomorrow afternoon. So get ready to bundle up tomorrow. If you maybe have some last minute shopping or travel, maybe getting that gravy at the grocery store if they have any left. It's going to be pretty frigid out there tomorrow, and it'll stay frigid for Thanksgiving as well. I'm going to pop on the precipitation type here, and notice, if you got to look close here, this is tomorrow afternoon. It's sneaking in a flurry chance. I think that's a small chance, but also don't be shocked if that happens as well. A little friendly flake might occasionally fly with this cold air. That is Old Man Winter making another visit to the region. So not only the cold, not only maybe a couple flurries, but the winds. Let's bring up the wind gusts here for tomorrow. Not looking too great. Even 30-plus mile-per-hour wind gusts with the cold air on top of us tomorrow. So there you guys are, tomorrow afternoon's wind gusts, a blustery, cold Wednesday tomorrow. So you might see on some 7-day forecasts. Let me explain this a little bit. So the National Weather Service has to, if you're looking at their forecast or maybe a TV forecast, they do get graded on their accuracy. So if the high tomorrow, say right after midnight, is like 50 degrees, you might see 50 as a high temperature on a Wednesday map or a Wednesday graphic. But that is in the early morning. Once that front moves through, those temperatures are going to be dropping off steadily tomorrow. So what it's actually going to feel like is the 30s, maybe even the 20s by late in the afternoon tomorrow. So just want to explain that. Sometimes those graphics can be a little deceiving when you have the opposite happening. You got a warm morning and a cold afternoon. So tomorrow is going to be kind of an opposite day in that regard because of those winds right there. And Old Man Winter returning to the area. And Lillian Lasley says, I will stay home. Burr. Yes, indeed, Burr. In fact, let me try to fire up the let me get out the full screen here, and we'll look at the wind chills. Let me see if we got that here with we'll have to fire up the GFS weather model. I'm going to go ahead to go here to tomorrow. We'll go 4 p.m. tomorrow, okay? So here's your wind chills. Let's plot it out. Feeling like near 32 degrees tomorrow afternoon. And of course, that cuts through you when you've got a 30-mile-per-hour wind gust. So it can make it feel even colder. So there's the big heads up. Cold air moving in. Orleans says, I don't think that golf game is going to be very warm. I completely agree. So we were texting about this, our little text group. Are you still going to golf? Are you still going to golf? There's like 8 of us. We might do like a 4 versus 4. And I said, I am in. I'll tough it out if you guys tough it out. So far, I think everybody's still in on the cold pre-Thanksgiving golf match tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes. All right, back to the cold stuff. Look at that cold air dropping in over the Ohio Valley, over the Midwest. And that's going to be the next big story. So we're going to go here to Thanksgiving morning. Cold air over much of the United States. And now we are coming in close to our area. And there you can see we're dropping to temperatures below freezing to get started here for our Thanksgiving morning. They're not going to be an incredible warm up here for Thanksgiving afternoon. We're looking at upper 30s to the low 40s south of Louisville. Chilly day there. But not only that, we've got a wind still maybe at around 10 to 20 miles per hour for Thanksgiving Day. Look at our 4 p.m. Thanksgiving afternoon wind chills in the upper 20s and low 30s, my friends. It is going to be some cold turkey out there. All right. Some wild turkey might warm you up. All right, let's move into 7 a.m. Black Friday. It gets worse. Does anybody still do like that early morning shopping for Black Friday? Opening those doors, rushing to the doors. There's the Black Friday freeze. Wind chills in the teens. Not pleasant. Not pleasant at all. All right, let's get rid of that. I might be camping that night too. That might not be very good. There we go. There's the frowny face for our Friday morning. Frigid temperatures. Look at that. Dropping down from Canada. You can see the source of it right there from central Canada heading our direction. Big chill on the way, guys. Orly says, don't do it anymore, Ben, but it used to be so much fun, that rush. Yeah, that chill. And what's gotten popular is like those ice baths and things like that. So people do like to get that chill. I'm not a huge fan. I like the hot tub better than the cold tub. All right, so that's the cold weather that's coming in. That's story number 2. Okay, so the stories we've been talking about here, we timed out today's rain, tomorrow's wicked wind chills with the winds and the cold temperatures, just the cold that's going to be on top of us for Thanksgiving and for Friday. Now, let's fire up the GFS, already fired up, but let's switch it over to the precip type and look ahead to our Saturday after Thanksgiving, because maybe a little wintry mix developing Saturday if the system moves on top of us. So Saturday is the 29th. So we will go into Saturday morning here. Let's fire it up. So it has snow out to our west. This is 4 a.m. Saturday. Vicky Berger refuses the cold weather, rebukes the cold weather. I hear you. Nothing we can do about it this time of the year. All right, so this is 7 a.m. Saturday morning. Here we go to 10 a.m. 1 p.m. Saturday, showing at least a potential for a little bit of light snow moving into our area. Saturday morning. We'll see if that actually happens. Right now, it looks like the Euro kind of keeping it warmer, so it would just be rain as that moves in. And right there, it looks like mostly west of I-65. So a lot of question marks around Saturday's system that will be fine tuning here over the next couple of days, but it does look pretty unsettled as this stuff moves in. And then notice as we head into the afternoon, kind of a switch over if we do see snow, just to rain as some warmer temperatures slide our direction. Primarily a rain system this weekend, but maybe initially could see some snowflakes flying Saturday morning, especially if the GFS is correct. And then now I'm going into Saturday night and into Sunday. Notice I-70 north. Some of you might be traveling north. We talked about this several days ago. North of I-70, more potential for snow. And then south of I-70, rain. This is Saturday night into Sunday. So a mixed system that we get in late fall. This is 1 a.m. going into Sunday morning. I'm going to jump ahead to 7 a.m. Sunday morning. And there's that wet system overhead. So all the models give us some pretty wet weather for Sunday. Just not a great into the weekend. And perhaps not the best travel weather. We'll see about that for Sunday. For folks maybe heading back home from the Thanksgiving holiday, we've got this system over the, say east of the Mississippi River, Ohio Valley, down to the deep south, and over the Great Lakes. Snow north, rain south, maybe storms farther